What's up, Boop Crew, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have Gabriel Daltoso. Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm really good. I'm really excited about it. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is something that I have had a lot of interest in, but not any time to learn. But before we talk about what we're going to do today, let's talk a little bit about you. So for folks who aren't familiar with you and your work, do you want to give us a bit of a background on who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Gabriel Daltoso, right? And I am actually a front-end engineer at StackBlitz, and I've been working on front-end, I don't know, for the last 8 years, around 8 years, and yeah.
Very cool, yeah. And before we got on, you were also showing like you're the creator of React 95, which is the kind of Windows 95 emulator for React, which is very funny, very cool. And you know, that's like what. So I have a question for you actually. What got you into
Yeah.
trying like? Where did that idea come from? What inspired you to create a Windows 95 theme for React?
Well, this is a fun story. Um, I was hired for a company to work with to build their design system, but I didn't know how to do that.
Okay.
I had no clue how to do it, how and where to start, and to I don't know, to learn and to understand more about this ecosystem and packages and build and a lot of things. To shaking, oh my goodness, so many words in this field. I was like, I need something fun to make to make me to motivate me, you know.
Mm,
And then of course this React 95 isn't used by the company, you know.
sure,
But
sure.
I used to learn, and then I built their design system, and I worked on with design systems for about 4 or 5 years then. So React 95 has a really good context for me, and yeah, it gives me a really good background in this field.
You know,
So
that's
yeah, I'm
actually like that's something that is very near and dear to my heart is this idea of when you have something that you want to learn, it's such a slog if you just try to sit down and do it in the most like raw academic sense, right? But if you try to find
yeah,
something that makes you smile, that's fun, that makes you laugh, it's so
yeah,
much easier to stick through that learning and
yeah,
to actually get
yeah,
over the hump of making it work because you know you get this like huge payoff of look at this funny thing that I built. I did a similar thing where I
yes.
was trying to learn how ESLint rules work, where I made one called ESLint Reply Guy, and it was a
Hmm.
set of contradictory ESLint rules. So when you changed it, it would tell you you were wrong, and when you changed it to match that opinion, it would tell you you were wrong again
Hmm.
and tell you to change it back to the way it was before. You know, like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and like I never would have sat down and built an ESLint rule if it was just like, I got to learn how this works. I got to figure this out. But like I had this
hmm,
idea in my head of a reply guy as an
yeah.
ESLint plugin, and that was funny enough to me that I was willing to stick through the initial learning. So has this been a pattern for you
Yeah.
in your career? Have you like found fun projects like this to help you learn like throughout your whole lifespan as a dev?
Yes, and I do tell people to do the same because it worked so well for me that I mean I keep doing, and it's good when you saw your code and it's fun. You know, it when it runs and you can share with someone, and um, the people that saw your work would also uh, have fun with that. So it's kind of makes you much more like, I want to keep doing this
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
no, I think that's great. Okay, well, so speaking of fun, we're going to be building a code editor today, right? We're going to kind of figure out how to build one from
Yeah.
scratch. And along the way, we're going to learn about how WebContainer API works, which I'm really excited about because, well, actually, why don't I let you explain it? Can you give a quick overview of what the WebContainer API is?
I think the best way to explain what is the Web Container API is starting explaining what is Web Container itself.
Mm,
You can see Web Container as a small operational system inside your tab browser.
mm,
Um, it's just for you to have an overview of what it is exactly, but it's not as operational system with
sure.
all the things that one have. So you have like inputs, you have outputs, you have process, and you have a lot of things that you could use. And for you to use, we built this Web Container API
Mm-hmm.
that can help you to make use of Web Container.
Okay. And so
And
the,
what is a Web Container? Let's dig into it
yes.
a little more. Web containers is something that it's a technology from StackBlitz,
Okay.
and it is something that it is our engine. Let's say it's our StackBlitz. In StackBlitz, we use web containers to boot and to run our code editor. And
Okay.
this our web container makes you able to run Node.js inside the browser, basically speaking.
And I think that's probably like the big wow moment for a lot of us is that you found a way to not like route Node.js back through a server somewhere and then kind of return the output to the browser, but you're literally running a Node app in the browser itself, which means
Yes,
for somebody like me who wants to build a little proof of concept or try something out as a learning exercise, I don't have to start a local development server, and I don't have to have a service that will run that dev server for me in the cloud. I can just
hmm
run it right in my browser and try out this Node package or library to see how it feels to use before I commit to setting up a local dev environment with it. Is that kind of an accurate statement?
yes, it is. And I would just add that you can work offline because it is everything on in your browser, so you can just work offline. So
That is extremely cool. I mean, like
yes.
this is the kind of stuff that I know when I was earlier in my career, I worked with a ton of Node. Like back in the days when we didn't really have all these frameworks that sort of abstracted away the back end
hmm
of building for the web. I built a lot of Express servers, a lot of like Koa and Happy back in the day. Like you built a lot of
hmm
stuff like that, and I always had this sort of frustration when I was trying to teach it that I couldn't just like give somebody a thing to run the way that you could in the browser. I could just show somebody some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and say, you see what this does? Okay, now you change this line and watch what happens. It was like, okay, I want to show you how some Node stuff works,
hmm
but first I have to teach you how to install Node, how to use NPM, how to get this local dev environment set up, how to do all these other things. And I had wished for something like this so that I could just send a link to somebody and say, okay, you see how this works, right? And I think that
Yes.
what the magic of Web Container is for me and why I've been so excited about it is that I'm able to like do this now. I can send a link to somebody and say, okay, you're in Node. Here's how this works. Just try this. Do you see how it works? Okay, change a thing. See how it broke? All right, now how would you fix that? Right? You don't have to have that initial
Yes.
conversation about how to invent the universe before you can learn a concept. It's really magical stuff.
Yes, and for me, one of the big features that it came from in my mind right now is when I am working on something and we are sharing the project. Let's say, Jason, and I ask you for help. on something.
Mm-hmm.
And well, you can imagine that I have a lot of changes in my project, so I need to stash it in somehow, you know, and to be able to help you. And with web containers, I can just click and open it on a new tab, and the whole environment is set for me. And this helped a lot, a lot,
Yeah.
I had to say.
It's very, very cool tech. And so this is something that you mentioned is this is how StackBlitz works. This is sort of the underpinning technology that makes StackBlitz function. So is
Mhm.
Web Container something that is like proprietary, or is this an open standard? Is this something that like, you know, can you kind of poke under the hood and see how it works?
Our Web containers is a technology from StackBlitz, and it's in heavily developing right now. And because we work close to our community,
Mm-hmm.
so everything that we add to the web container is because we got from feedbacks and how the community is using. So right now, I think the web container itself and its API is in closed repository,
Okay.
and but yeah, you can use it for free for our projects.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. Yeah, and we're seeing folks in the chat are pretty pumped about this. And so we're not just talking about Web Container today. We're also going to talk about kind of building a code editor, which is something that you can do with just HTML and JavaScript. So what kind of led to us thinking about this? Like, why is this the project that you wanted to dig into?
It can show the power of web containers really well.
Mm,
Like we can give some inputs, and also how to listen the changes from the web container, and how to show these changes somewhere in your application, you know. And I think this is really a good example on how we can use web container.
excellent. All right. Well, I think that is as good a time as any to switch over and actually start building, because I cannot wait to see this in action. I think it is such cool tech, and I just want to play with it. So let me switch us over into the pair programming view here. And we are currently, what's happening? See, I knew this thing is being weird. I built this new feature and it like kind of works sometimes, but it and then it just goes away after a while, and I don't know why that's happening. Anyways, yes.
Hmm.
So we are talking to Gabriel Daltoso, who you can find on Twitter at @ggdaltoso. And this episode, like every episode, is being live captioned. You've got this closed caption button. We've got Amanda from Whiteco Captioning here today, taking down all these words. Thank you so much. And that is made possible through the support of our sponsors. We've got Netlify, NX, New Relic, and Pluralsight, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which I very much appreciate. Gabriel, if we're ready to go here, and I want to build this editor, where should I start? Like, what's the first thing that I should do?
Well, you can start whichever environment you like to, but I would strongly recommend you to use StackBlitz to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to head over to StackBlitz and sign in with my GitHub.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. I am in StackBlitz, and I'm going to assume I need to create a new project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What should I use? I'm just going to click through these so that people can see how many options there are. So a ton of front end options, a ton of back end options. You want to go full stack? They've got all those full stack frameworks. You want to go Vite? They've got all the flavors. Different doc setups is very cool. GSAP stuff with the different, so like GSAP with React, GSAP with Vue, GSAP with SvelteKit. Mobile setup. Oh, nice. Mobile setup is cool. And plain old vanilla, whatever you want. Where would you recommend we start?
Should we start with the zero environment possible, the most zero environment?
Sure.
Yeah. So I would ask you for us to use code flow instead. So on your URL, could you like append? I will show you here. Let's say you can append the tool in your URL.
Just one of, oops, one of these, like that, like that. Nope. Wow. Not like that, like this.
You see? Yes. Is this new
Okay.
for you?
And there we go. We got an empty project.
Yeah, we have an empty project with a web container powering our VS Code editor.
Yeah.
Good?
So this is just VS Code in the browser.
Yes, this is
Love
just
it.
VS Code in the browser. We can like, this is an empty project as you would have in your machine. So at this point, we can just start with, I don't know, you can open the terminal.
And all my shortcuts work. I love it.
Oh, yes, it all works. So let's start with just plain npm init, just
Okay,
to give us
npm
the
init. Okay, and we'll say simple code editor. 1.0 is fine. We'll leave the description blank. Do I need to do anything with the entry point or keep it as default?
no, keep as default. Yeah.
Okay. Good. We'll just deal with the rest of that later. Okay, so we have our basically initialized simple npm
The
project.
start point, right? Yeah. So and then let's install two dependencies to help us a little. So let's start with Vite. So npmi Vite -d.
Okay. There's
And then
Vite.
the web container API itself.
Okay. And what's the package
It
name for
is
that?
at web container /API.
At WebContainer/API. There it is.
Yeah, that's it. And Vite, I think, I don't know if everyone knows what it is, but in this case, it will help us to have like a little server to help us like with all like reloading thing.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if it is working. Okay, so
Okay.
let's create an index.html file, and let's yeah, great, and let's add a script tag.
Okay. Do
Editor
a script
and
tag.
type module.
Oh, type module. Got it.
Type module. Yeah, let's just create a file for that. Type module and src to index.ts. So let's edit it on other file, ts, and then create another file, index.ts.
Okay,
And
so let me
I don't
save
know,
this
just
one.
yes. And
Oops.
in our TypeScript file, let's just say hello world message, just a console log, something just to know if it is working.
Okay.
So now we can, so we can now type npx vite, and yeah, it's now working. You can open it on a preview or in your browser.
Oh, wait, we're gonna open up a new tab.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm doing something wrong.
No, it's all good. We just need to check the dev tools.
Let's see that. No,
Let's
this
see
one.
if the
I know what I did wrong. I tried to just open up localhost directly instead of using the live tunnel.
Yeah.
And so then if I go into my dev tools, there's our code.
Hello world. Yeah. So it is happening, right? So we have our Vite server running, and now the fun happens. It starts, right? So let's start. We can start it by simply getting our web container instance created as soon as we got the window load.
Okay.
Okay. So we need to import our web container from WebContainer API package. So yeah.
Is that a top level or a
open,
named?
Open. Yeah, named web container. Yeah, this one. Good.
Autocomplete's working in the browser. Oh, this is nice. It feels just like working in my editor locally.
Yeah. Good. And then on our when the window load, we can start doing things. Windows load.
It's on load, right?
You can add an event listener also.
Oh yeah,
but
that's
on
probably
load,
a
I
better.
think
That's probably a better call. We'll do a load.
So load, and then yes, and then we need when your page will load, we need to boot our web container instance. Okay. So let's create a variable to hold the instance reference for us.
Container.
Yeah, and let's call webcontainer.boot.
Web. Oh boy. Container.boot.
Boot. Yes.
Okay.
This will work, but boot is an async function. So we need this load callback to be as async.
Okay.
Async, and I'll wait until the boot happens. So yeah, so to see if it works, so let's just add a log like loading and booting, before and after.
Oh, I got you. Loading and booting. It says loading. And then it doesn't.
And look, this is good. This is happened for a good reason,
Okay.
And this is also a thing that I would like to explain to you more. A couple of details here, and for everyone who is listening to us, well, web container to run, it needs to run in a secure environment,
Okay.
and even it runs in you can check the elements on the page, Jason, for a second.
Okay, we've got.
We've got an iframe. Yeah. See, so the web container instance is running magically in this web iframe element.
Okay.
So to make this happen, we need to isolate everything into a really trusted environment. And to do that, we need to set some configurations in our Vite.
In Vite,
server.
okay.
Yeah, on our Vite. To do that, we need to create a vite-config file. So it's vite.config.js. And we need to import the find config from vite. Define config, yeah. And export the configuration, the default configuration. Export the full define config, and let's add some configurations there. We need to configure our server to have some predefined headers to it. And it is easier for me to send you those headers. Yeah, send you. So you just need to go. And to explain a little what those headers, what they do, let's say I have a book, Jason, okay, and I like it really a lot, that book, and I would like you, Jason, to read that book. There is two ways for me to share this book with you. Like, I can open all pages for you to read, or I can lend you the book.
Right.
But I can lend you the book if you are a friend of mine. And also you can see the pages if you are a friend of mine. So those headers is doing that for us. Like, our application is holding the book to the web container, so they can talk to each other.
Got it. Okay, great. So basically what we're telling Vite here is that the scripts we write inside our application should be allowed to operate inside of the iframe that is being generated by the web container.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think that for this change we need to restart the Vite server.
Okay.
Yes.
We're restarted.
Okay.
We're
and
loading,
now we see loading and booting.
Hey!
So we have our instance. Easy peasy. Good. So I think from now that we have our container, we can let's spawn a command. Could be. So
Sorry,
let's
say that again.
start. Can we spawn a command?
A comment?
Yeah, a comment. Like, you can spawn like a process.
Okay.
Into our instance. So let's do. You said container, right? You declared as a container. So spawn.
Spawn.
Yeah, and it has two arguments. The first one will be the command that we want to spawn, which is
Gotcha.
like let's say we want to check the nodes version. Okay, so let's just type node. And the second argument is everything that we would like to pass to this command, so /v. Good. So I can say to you, Jason, that this is working, but we need to see that working, right?
Yes.
So the spawn function, it will return a promise that we need, and we need to some ways to handle it.
Okay.
So could you declare a variable? Yes. And wait for that? Yes. And if something bad happens with this promise, we need to say like, well, something bad happened, and let's go away from here. We do this not by using catch, but using response.exit. So we just need to check if process is dot exit, it's like truthy. Every process in Node will return 0 if right.
Oh, I got it.
Process
I got it.
exit is also a promise. Yeah. Yeah. So
Is it
if
called like that?
no,
No,
you,
it's
you
not
don't need
callable.
to call it. Yeah, it's just it. Yeah, you're good. And if the return from this process return anything like rather than 0, we need to handle that in a proper way. But let's consider that we have and we know our application very well, right? So let's just handle. Yeah, that's good. That's how we
This
should
is
do.
this is
And
this is how I do error handling. Is I just say we'll do that later.
to do. Yeah. Well, when we spawn a process to our instance, it isn't a sync thing. We don't have the return from the process, like all the chunks we need to show. It's an open string of the returning processing that
Right.
web container is doing. So to get those responses, we need to pipe the output that we got from response. So we do it by simply response dot output. This is a string, so we need to pipe to dot pipe to,
Okay.
yes, and a new writable string. And
Okay.
this writable string we can add yes, we can add a object as an argument to it, saying when we write, let's say, we have a function that every chunk that we received, we need to send to console log.
Okay. So we'll get is like the first thing
A
we get is a
chunk.
chunk.
Yes, it's just the data that's coming from the web container, and we log that chunk.
Okay. O is not a constructor. What did I do wrong? Loading, booting. Okay, so I missed something in here somewhere. Output pipe 2.
Let's see.
Boot.
Web container do boot and response and output. New writable string.
Readable stream. Okay. And then we pipe 2. Right.
New writables.
You know what? Let me
Yeah.
just stop and restart it in case I did something
Okay.
wrong here. No, it doesn't like. Okay, so I've made a mistake. The mistake that I have made, I'm gonna just try. Okay, so we're getting an error in here, it looks like. So the way that I handled this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that part works, but when I try to handle the error, it fails.
Oh, I see.
Do I need to like do one of these? There it is. There it is. Okay, I forgot to wrap this await. So it was trying to.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. I think we don't need that equal 0. We just need to, every number that comes. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's true, because anything that's not a 0 would be.
Yes.
There we go.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
great.
now we're good.
And now we're getting
So
our Node
this
version.
is
We're
new.
using Node version 16.
Yeah, we have. 16. That's a really good version. Also,
It was a good year.
okay, so now we have like we know how to spawn process into our web container, and we could do it like let's refactor this and turn this into a run command function.
Okay.
Okay, so we could do this by let's inside this event load event, let's just create another function like function run, function run. They will the run function will wrap all this error and pipe 2 thing.
Okay.
You see, so we can the run command function will accept the same args as we have in spawn. So we have
Same
commands
args.
and args, commands and args.
Okay.
Yeah, good. We can have our container outside of it.
Okay, so
Because
we'll move the
our run is
container
just
outside.
yes.
All right, we'll just keep these up here as a good indicator of what is going on.
What's going on? Yes, and
Okay.
let's try it now. Yeah, let's refactor this to accept commands and args instead, and let's run our run function. Yeah, we've just well we could show the same functionality like showing node version. Good.
Okay. Just make
I
sure that
think
it all
that will
does the same
work.
thing. There it
Yeah,
is.
good. And now that we know how to send commands and instructions to our web container instance and get the data from it, we can start doing our code editor. Why
All right,
not?
let's do it.
Let's do it. We can do it. So we need to populate that index HTML a little more. We need. Do you have any idea on how you would like to to have it on your screen? Like you would like the editor to be in the left side. What would you
Uh,
like to do?
sure. Yeah, editor left side sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's start simple then. With just an input and a send button.
Okay. So we've got an input, and we'll have a button
Yeah,
that says send, and then we've got to wrap that
send.
into a form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna block this out, and then you can kind of guide me through how you want to do the rest of
Mm-hmm.
this. Okay, so we've got our form. Does this need to have a like post method, get method? Does it matter?
Now let's prevent the default behavior form for
Okay.
now. Let's have just the input and the send button. We can attach some IDs to them just to make
Okay.
easy for us.
Okay, and then is this one going to be like a text input? Do we want it to be a text box or?
Let's start simple,
Okay.
right? In my head, let's start with just instead of the code content itself, let's just send some comments right now. Okay,
Okay.
so we can type node.v into this input and send to the web container,
Oh, I
and let's
gotcha.
see. Let's do it all in the same file. I think
Oh,
it
great.
would be
Yeah.
easy to keep track. It
Works
would
for
be
me.
easy to keep
Okay.
track.
So we've got our, I'll move this down to the bottom so we can kind of see what's going on here. So we've got our form up at the top, and we're going to, let's see. I guess
we can get rid of these dev tools too. So let's create a div as output.
Okay.
Div and yeah, an ID, output. Yeah, sounds good. Or even better, let's create a code instead of div.
We'll use a pre so it stays
A
block
frame,
level on
yeah,
us.
yeah,
Okay.
even better.
And
Okay.
then
So
what we can do up at the top here is we can just say the output equals document dot query selector, and we'll get the output. And then here we can do output dot inner
text content.
Plus, and we can do like a plus
too.
equals. And we'll do
Chunk.
like, so we can do the chunk, and then we'll just do a line break so that we can keep track of what's going on here. And what we should see, there's that.
Yeah.
So we've got our output.
There's
That's
a node
good.
version.
Why doesn't
Yeah,
this...
that's a node. And now we can get rid of this. This is just the TypeScript complaining about, yeah. Exactly.
That's a lie. This does exist. Why wouldn't this exist?
Yeah. I don't think that it exists in the element, probably, but
We'll just
yeah,
use text content.
works
That's
better.
fine.
Yeah.
Now what are you yelling at? I absolutely did not break this. How dare you? Booting.
Yeah. You can see
Okay,
it.
and then if I make it stop yelling at me, then it works. I don't know. I must have saved with a typo in place. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we've got like a basic output going here, and then the next thing that we'll need to do is we'll get the form document query selector, and we'll say editor.
Yes.
And then here, I guess we can just kind of, we want to parse the inputs, right? So we would have an async function of handle submit, and that would, well, I guess we don't even really need to do it that. We can just do a form.add event listener, make it on a submit, and then we'll get the event. So we can event.prevent default, and then we'll get the data is event.form data. Wait, is that not it? Event.target.form data?
Even the target, yeah, that's it. Well, this is just that TypeScript complaining about, yeah, might be undefined. Yeah.
Whatever. Event.target. Stop it. How about now? What? Event.target is not...
So let's cast event.target as HTML form element. Yeah,
there you go. Now
work.
hush. Okay. So then what we'll get is the command is data.get command. So that'll get us this value here. And then we need to what? We need to const Or hold on.
We need just
we'll
the
call this like
we need
text.
just the first word to be our comment and the rest to be our args.
Okay, so we'll do text dot split on spaces. Is that wait?
Yes. And
Split is
yeah,
not the
we
right
need to
thing.
catch that too. The TypeScript doesn't see text as a string. Now it does.
Okay. Then we
Okay.
can await run command args.
Boom. And then we need to async this callback. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So we'll get our node version to start, and then we should be able to just send in additional commands.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you yell at me. I did this right.
Maybe just refresh.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's,
so
yeah. Oh, we can do echo ls.
yeah,
know.
let's do echo. Oh, this is going to explode. That's not going to work. Let's do it like this. That's not right.
Oh, he didn't get the command.
Data.get command, that's correct. Data.get.
Is the
Oh, I know what it is. We didn't give it a name.
Is a name. Yeah, it's not an ID. Yeah.
Okay, that should do it.
Yeah.
Hey!
So let's go like let's try to install something.
Yeah.
We can do it. Yeah,
just
we have
install
a web
anything?
container running for us. Yeah, you can install like everything.
Okay. So is npm like pre-installed here?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna npm install Vite.
Dope.
Oh my god, that's cool.
That's dope. That's cool. Yeah, let's install like a package just to print a cool thing for us and try it. Let's try Calce.
Okay. npm install Calce. There it is. Okay.
So and let's run with npx, Calce, and hi maybe. So yeah, we have our dependency running.
This is so dang cool.
That's cool. That's freaking cool, right? Yeah. And then we have, look what we have right now. We have a form that we can submit comments to it. We have a output, but we could have a styled better, right? And we can work on that. But I was wondering, well, we can now have the you have installed Vite, right?
I haven't installed. I installed Vite, yeah.
So we have Vite as our dependency. That's cool because we can start a server inside our web container instance, right?
So we're now doing Viteception because we're running Vite to run this web container, which is about to be running Vite.
Yes.
No, I love it. I love it.
That's cool. That's cool. Let's try npx Vite.
Okay.
There's nothing there, like there's no index HTML, so there's nothing, no index TS as well. And as we can see, there's nothing, right? Because the output from Vite is kind of different.
Okay.
And our instance handle it differently. So let's add the right event listener for it.
Okay.
So on our in, you said as a container, right? Container variable. So
Mm-hmm.
we can listen to changes to server ready.
Okay, so
So we have our
container.
container dot on, because we are listening to some changes to a specific event server ready, and we will have a callback function with two arguments.
Okay.
It will have the port as the first one and the URL for in the second one. So for now, um, let's just log the URL, right? As we have in a all express project,
Okay.
right? Okay. Feed.
Okay, so this should now console log.
Yes. You see this URL? So this is the web container, as you said, inception, right?
Yes, but it looks like it.
So for us to see that, we need the board.
I need.
We
Sorry,
need the
what?
port, like the port.
Oh, the port. Oh, the port. Yeah, of course I need the port.
Yeah, the port.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to get the port,
So.
I'm going to log the port.
Mm-hmm.
And now we'll npm install Vite. And then npx Vite. Okay. So.
And now let's try to open it.
Guess I should have formatted that, but. Did that not just work? What did I just do?
Yeah, it's working.
Here. There. And this is our
It's
empty
working.
running nothing in it Vite project.
Yes. Yes.
All right, this is too cool. Like this is incredible that
Yes,
this is just
too
like
cool.
working.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So let's go further and let's get this URL inside our preview instance. So let's have our editor in our site. Let's now we need to have our editor and our preview, right?
Okay, so
So
we're gonna say we'll give this a section of like output. All right, and then we've got our form, and then we have our div ID preview, and then we'll close up that section. And then what we can do is let's add a little bit of styling first so that this is usable. So we'll say for output, we want it to be display flex. I guess we'll go with display grid. And then we'll do grid template columns, and we'll say like 300 pixels, 1 FR. And what that should do for us is give us this editor on the left and our output on the right. And let's just to double check that that works, we'll say like here. Okay, yeah. So this is our this is going to be our output. Oh, but I broke some. Oh, I double dipped this. This is going to be we'll call this interface instead. And then we'll edit this to be interface as well. There we go. And now we get our like terminal output at the bottom. We've got our editor on the left and we've got our preview on the right. And I need to create an iframe inside of this div that has the URL. Okay. All right,
Yes.
we got this. So we're gonna set this up as an iframe, and the iframe is gonna have an ID of like dev URL. Do I need any parameters or anything to make this work? Or can I just set the href on it? Source.
Yeah. No. No. We
Is it
don't need.
source or
Yeah, we
what's
don't need. And yeah, we don't need because we are going to set when the server is ready.
when the server is ready? Okay, and so to do that, I'm going to document document. A document is what Kent would write. Kent see documents. We're going to document get the query selector, and we'll grab the dev URL, and then we're going to set attribute. Is it
SRC?
SRC? And then we're going to set the URL. If I can use the right pieces here, colon, and port. Okay, now if I did that correctly, what ends up happening is once we start Vite, this should become our server. So let's try it.
You can try create React app.
Oh yeah, I guess I could just do like npm create Vite.
Yeah.
And it's going to create a new app.
Just to have something in our preview, right?
Yeah, so that I don't have to. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like create an index file or something. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you know what we're missing though is it's got interactive output. So what's the? Do you know the command to like make it just take all the defaults?
It's clear, right?
Well, is it npm create Vite, and then is it like, do I have to put in dash yes, or is it like this?
Yes, yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so this should start Vite. And if we inspect that, okay, I did something wrong. Why don't we have it? I don't think I'm finishing the command. Like, I don't think this create is actually working because I think we're getting hung. Like if I run this here.
Well, you need, could you refresh and start it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refresh.
Let's start.
Oh, come on, you. There we go. There it is. Okay. So we've got our node version is working.
Is working. Okay. And now let's install a dependency.
Okay. And I'm installing Vite, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's Vite.
There's Vite. And to make it run, we just need, let's check the iframe content before running the Vite itself.
Okay, so the iframe content right now is just empty. There's nothing in it. There's no...
Yeah, there's nothing. Okay. So let's npx Vite. Yeah.
Look at that.
It is working.
Look at it go. Okay, so then the piece that we need to figure out is somewhere in here, there is a way to run that command. It's like create scaffolding your first Vite project. Is there not a way to just say like do all the defaults? What if we try it? Let's see. And then create Vite help. Maybe it'll just show us. So the dash y should just work, but maybe I have to give.
Oh, maybe the create doesn't work. Yeah. Because
NPM,
create is a command from npm, right?
Yeah, let me. Okay, so I'm going to start this now, and I'm going to say npm create v help, and that should give us output. It does. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to run npm create vt -- yes, which should have
Yeah. Let's try another one.
maybe it'll work like that. Yeah, okay. All right, let's try another one.
Yeah. We can try a great React app, which is
Okay,
known
so
by a lot of people. Yeah.
npm create React app. And are you doing stuff?
Is there a dash after create? I can't see it.
There's. Oh, Oh, no, like this, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so we're sending create React app. And it's not. I feel like all of these are interactive now, so we need a way to like bypass the interactivity if we want that to work.
Yes. We would need to install, I think, first.
Okay, let's see. Chat, if anybody knows of a create command that we can run fully from the command line with no interactivity, that would be super helpful right now. Let's look at create React app. Because
Sam is saying that we don't need the port in the iframe URL.
That just loads an empty page and not the Vite app. Okay. npx create React app, and then you have to move into the app, and then you have to start it. So this is what I was worried about, is like we're not really. I guess let's just try that. We're gonna say npx create React app test. Okay, so we're gonna reload. We're gonna let this run. Here is our. Did you miss it? Try that again. Loading, booting. There's our version number. So we're going to create the React app in test. I don't know how long this takes to run. So we're going to try moving into test. No such file or directory. Okay.
Yeah.
And this got an error. So,
yeah. Let's log the error.
Yeah, let's log
Right.
the error. And is it just like the whole response, or is there output?
Yeah,
maybe?
I think let's output.
My node version just changed. That's interesting. Okay, so this I think is doing a thing. So then we can cd into test, and it's just saying, I think this is just our failure. Like the directory doesn't exist because that create React app command isn't finishing.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah. So let's try Vite, maybe, because it's faster.
Yeah,
We should have the output as well.
what if we do,
The output about installing and so on.
yeah, so that was npm install vite. Okay, so there's our output.
Mhm.
And then if we run npx, actually, what if we just do like cat console.log hi,
Mhm.
or wait, we can do it as an echo, and then we can put that into index.ts, which theoretically would cause Vite to
Okay.
do something, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say our
And
output.
output.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go npx vite, and we look at our output. Not that output, we want our preview. That gets a container, and that
Mhm.
container has anything in it? HTML, a head and a body. Nothing shows up in the stream. I don't know how we would get a dev URL. Can we get into the iframe?
Maybe we can open it in another URL.
Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so this is running, but nothing is... Does it need an index.html? This is tricky.
Yeah, this is tricky. Let's try. One of our viewers said asked us to run npx nuxi,
Okay, here we go.
and we need to remove the port on the URL. Since
We do need to remove the port? Okay.
yeah.
All right, so we're going to remove that port if I can find where I put it. Here.
In the
I guess if that's the
here.
case, then I don't need these anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're saving. We are running the npx nuxi latest init. This should hopefully have some output.
It should, right?
It
Let's say
should.
let's wait for the src URL.
Okay, so there's nothing is happening here. Can we just run an ls? All of this is dead? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so LSA shows up nothing. Let's run this npx nuxi again. I don't know how long this should expect to take.
Is this working, right? Like sending the commands to the WebContainer
It is working because when
instance?
I run this ls-a, this works, but I think something is going on with the npx command or something. Like, let's try.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is working. So what? I think things are interactive. This is my guess is that it's asking us
Mm-hmm.
a question, but because we can't see it, we can't answer the question
Oh
to finish
yeah.
the install. So that's my current guess is that maybe what we can
Mm-hmm.
do. So I wonder if we can just like force it. Like, what if we just do a echo, and then in here we can put in the contents of like an HTML file.
Mm-hmm.
right? We can do one of
Mm-hmm.
these. Just kind of get rid of all this stuff. And I guess I would do it as... Am I going to have to delete all the white space in this to make this work? What if... I'll probably get rid of... well...
No, you don't need all of these. Like you can just add a div and we're good.
Can we just send in the script, do you think? Like, would that work? Or do we need to wrap it in something?
Let's try it. Let's try it.
Now let's see what happens. So we're going to echo this. And we want that to go into... And we'll say index.html. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also want to run a console.log. Just
Console or echo? Oh, I see. I get it. Yep.
run this into index.ts. And then we should, theoretically...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then if I run my ls, it does nothing.
Yeah, our loading, booting, and then yeah,
It's loading and booting.
ls.
And this appears to have broken the whole thing.
Yes. Is it running the ls now?
No.
It doesn't sing, right? Yeah.
Okay, so if I turn these
Probably.
off and I run my ls, what is going on?
What?
Well, that worked. Okay, so maybe it's just not doing... Okay, let's save this. Run the install for Vite. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to npx Vite. Okay, and now it's trying to get this web container.
We do another way to add the files to the web container. I just forget. Sorry. So
Okay.
let's do it in an easier way. I can show you. So go
Yeah.
to your code and try get our container instance.
Okay.
And let's try to do container a container.fs, which is the module that handles all file system behind. Yeah, and then we have our path, much easier, right? And then yeah, just send the data.
Then we can send the data. Okay, so I'm going to grab all of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop this in here. I'm actually going to undo all those changes that I made. Oops. Do want those changes. Okay. Then we can drop this in here. And then I'm going to do this one more time. Do I need to include the care set or anything?
Yeah, it's probably better.
Okay. Encoding, and we'll say UTF.
I think
8.
this the HF8 is the default one, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
You're good. But
better safe than sorry, I suppose. So let me grab this one, drop this in here, and then this one is going to be index.ts, and it is going to have console log hello.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those then should be here, and then we can
remove those lines
to an ls-a so that we can see that they have actually arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And they have not. Do I need to put this inside the run?
Yes, I'll wait because it's a sync.
Okay, we're gonna await and await.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, all right. So then we can npx vite. And that didn't work.
Go with npm init first.
Okay. npm init. That's not going to work. Okay, so we're going to npm init.
And slash. Yes, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Good.
And then we're going to
install vite.
There is vite. And then we will npx vite. There is our web container. And you know what I didn't put in here is anything that would indicate that this actually worked, but we can do that now.
Yeah.
Because we have the technology. Okay, so let's save this one more time. This is going to be it. This is the one. Feel it.
This is the one, yeah.
Okay.
Feeling.
Do the thing. Do the thing. Do the thing. Please do the thing.
Did you install vite?
There it is.
Installed.
npx vite. Come on.
Hello.
Ah, yes.
That's
okay.
awesome.
I love it. I mean, this is like what I love about this is like the hard part was not getting this to run, like this container within a container. The hard part was figuring out how to execute a dang install command. So
yeah. And I think the init was make the difference there, and installing the dependencies the right way. Yeah. And also the dash yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we missed a double dash in there to pass things through. Okay, so the thing that's really exciting about this though is that with what we've just done here, like this is incredible. Okay, so how are we doing on time? Because let's check. We don't have a ton of time. We've got about probably 10 minutes of active coding time left. Is there anything you wanted to make sure that we highlight before we run out?
The thing that I don't know if it is something that we will do here and right now, but for the listeners, you could create a repository in the GitHub, and to not lose those changes. You know, right here we are just in a playground, playing and hanging each other. But it would be nice if we could commit and push changes to it, and we could do all of this using VS Code, and the thing that I would like to also to say is web containers here is usable, it's easy. As you said, the bigger problem here was us, no. Me and you.
As usual, the primary problem with this application was the developer.
And and I think the thing that I like to point is also you didn't ask for a token, you just install and start using, and you are ready to go. And I think if you think it has been hard coding using CodeFlow, tell us, because we need this to be easy for you, because it must be easy. We are developers and we like easy things. And for example, we have container.fs.write file. So this mismatches what we have in Node. So it will be a learning curve. It will be like less curve.
So I have you mentioned the Git stuff, right? So if I wanted to share this particular project here with folks as kind of a starting point for somebody who wanted to play around, is that something I can do quickly here? Like, would we be able to set that up in the next 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, we just need to create a repo and then sync with our changes.
Okay, so in order to do that, I would just run a git init.
I don't know if we have a way to create a repository using VS Code. Do we have listeners an easy thing, an easy way?
Initialize
Yeah,
repository. What
so,
happens if I hit that button? Whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, it will work. Try it.
I think I need to first create a new file. We'll do a git ignore, and we need to ignore node modules. Okay, so then that should make this, that's more like what we actually expected to see. So let's save all of these. Okay, and we'll say code after episode, and then is it connected to me? Add a remote from GitHub.
Add a remote.
Wants to sign in.
Yeah, you need to allow it to
Just learn with
changes.
Jason. Here.
Two factors.
Why don't we just go with my personal so that I don't have to, oh, dang it. Okay. Where's my phone at? Down here. And then I'm going to find this one-time code. GitHub. And, oh wait, I could have just done it like this the whole time. There it is. Okay.
Good.
Trying to authenticate another GitHub account? That is incorrect. I am me. Bug in time. Okay. So let's try that one more time.
Could you check which user are you logged in? Yeah.
I'm not signed into any accounts.
Oh. Yeah.
Can I sign in?
Yeah. We just need to check what's going on. I think it's on our side.
Okay, I'm going to try this one more time and see if it'll let me do it.
Okay.
No, I don't think I want to do that yet. Yeah, I think I've got myself caught in a weird space right now. Okay, so we'll have to figure out how exactly that works, but yeah. Okay, so I mean, this is this is incredible tech. And so to reiterate for anybody who wants to try this, you go to StackBlitz and then do a // and that puts you into CodeFlow.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty easy.
This is some really, really cool stuff. So where should somebody go if they want more information, if they need, documentation, examples, anything like that?
Could you, Jason, open WebContainers.io?
WebContainers.io.
Yeah. This one is the house of Web Containers documentation, right? Everything you want is there. But if you want a quick playground, as we just did here, you could go like webcontainers.new.
Oh, so webcontainers.new.
And boom. You have the same as
Very
we did
cool.
here, like but it will more like we have more features because we in this example we do have our code editor and preview running.
So this has got everything that, like,
Much
if we'd had
easier.
more time, we would have ended up here.
Yeah. Yes.
This
yes,
is extremely cool stuff. So everybody make sure you go and check out webcontainers.new. Very, very, very cool stuff. And let me do another shout out to you on Twitter. So make sure you go and follow Gabriel for more information. Check out, if you haven't tried it before, also go check out StackBlitz. It's very cool. It's got a lot of power, a lot that you can do with it. Anything else that people should be checking out?
Yeah, so you can follow us in Twitter as well to know every news about web containers and the cool stuff we do. And we have a blog where we post everything we do to make web container be able to run on the browser, and it has a really good stuff there. So I appreciate if everyone like go there. Just it's blog.stackblitz.com.
Oh, I saw a link. There we go.
Yeah, better. So we have the last one is really cool. We have a benchmarking explaining why and how npm yarn and npm can run like 5 times faster in a browse tab than your local machine. And it's worth to take a look.
That is extremely cool. All right, y'all. This has been a blast. Let's see. No, it's still doing the thing. Anyways, this episode, like every episode, has been live captioned. We've had Amanda here with us all day. Thank you so much, Amanda. That's made possible through White Coat Captioning and our sponsors, Netlify, NX, New Relic, and Pluralsight, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people. And we got sponsorship slots opening up, folks. If your company wants to be one of these illustrious 4, please let me know, because I need to keep the show accessible, and that's how I do it. Gabriel, thank you so much for all of the time you spent with us here today. We're gonna go find somebody to raid, y'all, and I think that's it. We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.